All right, man.
Yo,
Words of advice.
just jump in.
Everybody's taking what they can, but they can't decide. And they do what they want to, 'cause any kind of feeling's alright. And don't be talking, maybe your mama's flying high as a kite. And you're just like the next one, 'cause we'll be walking lonely tonight. Lonely tonight. If so, we know we'll be coming. If so, we know we'll be coming. If so, we know we'll be coming. Everybody's faking like they can, it makes it alright. Tell me what you want to, 'cause I don't know the wrong from the right. Just don't be talking, maybe your mama's still high as a kite. And I'm just like the next one, 'cause we'll be walking lonely tonight. Lonely tonight. If so, we know we'll be coming. 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 If so, we know we'll be coming.
One of my main takeaways from doing business with China, with Chinese companies in particular, is how adaptive to change they are and how looking forward to the future they are. A lot of businesses in America, politicians included, are complaining about manufacturing going overseas, it's all going to China, where manufacturing has been a big source of income for Chinese companies, but they already are accepting that wages are getting higher, prices of doing business in China are getting higher, and there's a big push towards R&D development, so not made in China, but made by China. And they want to invent things, they want to be on the forefront of technology, which was great to see. Particularly in our trip, a highlight for me was when we went to Suzhou, and we got to see the kind of the Silicon Valley of China, which was like a resource R&D development center where a lot of higher paid jobs were, a lot of R&D research is done, and we had one of the best conference centers I've ever been to. That was definitely a highlight for me, and when I left and came back to the States, I knew that Chinese companies were looking to the future, not towards the past.
On our trip, we learned a great deal about similarities and differences between the intercultural relationships between the United States and China. First, I'll talk about the similarities. One thing that the U.S. and China have that is similar is their culture of hard work. What they say in China, that Dr. Sung told us, is that the Chinese don't work overtime, they work all the time. And that is clearly evident with what we saw in China, specifically at Jingli, the speaker manufacturer, and also going out to Suzhou. And that's evident here in the United States, as we know, because we work busy weeks, 5 days a week, maybe even more so, and work full days. The differences really speak to Guanxi and Manzi. Guanxi talks about relationships, the needs and the importance of having good working relationships and being able to leverage those in China. Now that's clearly evident in China, but something that isn't necessarily make or break in the United States. If you consider doing business in China, you want to make sure that you leverage the relationships that you have or start to develop those to do well business-wise. And Manxi, or saving face, is definitely a difference between the United States and China. In the US, we have no problem giving candid feedback, whether it be in a private setting or in a public setting. But in China, it's a completely different ballgame. If you're going to give feedback, you want to ensure that they save face or save Manxi. So in that case, if there's a situation where you need to correct some business behaviors, you never do it in public. You always do it in a private setting and try to maintain the relationship as best as possible.
Louder. I love the choice of music. Yeah!
That's the best part!
But don't make me close one more door. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me.
I guess I never really reconciled history class Mao Zedong China with modern day economic powerhouse China until I got there. The amount of construction in Shanghai and Suzhou alone was pretty incredible. And I think I'm like a lot of Americans in that I hadn't entirely made this mental leap until I'd seen it with my own eyes and then heard about it more from our guest speakers.
My biggest surprise of the trip had to do with some of the living conditions in China. So I went through Beijing, Shanghai, Suzhou, a couple other smaller cities, and you read about it, you hear about it. We heard about it in America, we heard about it in China, that over there is a big difference in the quality of life between the urbanized people and the rural people. So I was expecting to see that already. I was expecting to see a well-developed city, and I was expecting to see pretty run-down towns. What I was not ready for was that you can get both of those contrasts within a few blocks of each other. So you can be at a really nice street with really nice restaurants and walk a few blocks over, and there's abandoned buildings, there's trash everywhere, conditions, cleanliness goes down pretty greatly. And it's not knocking the country by any means. The country's aware of it. Almost every professor or guest speaker we had mentioned that it was a political issue that they're trying to tackle right now. Pollution, food quality standards, where they get their food from, that kind of a thing. So it's going to be interesting to see, as they have such rapid growth, how they address the issue. But I was definitely taken back by the proximity of the rural and the urban combined.
One of the most surprising things during the trip was learning that in about 20 years in China, there will be 50,000 more skyscrapers in Shanghai, which is just incredible to me. That's equivalent to 10 New York cities. So I'm looking forward to visiting Shanghai in about 20 years and seeing the development that has occurred in Shanghai. It's just amazing how far they've come, and I really hope to see more development in the future.
For me, one of the highlights was definitely the Jade Buddha Temple. We arrived at the end of the day and we stepped out of the busy streets of Shanghai into this quiet sanctuary, and we were just in time to catch the monks singing their final group devotionals for the day. And most of the other tourists were gone at that point, so we were really able to wander the corridors and take in the architectural details in the midst of this crazy city. And although I really loved learning and seeing modern China, I really enjoyed seeing glimpses of ancient China in the midst of all this progress. It was really special.
To the top.
Then what was your favorite part of the trip to Shanghai?
So my favorite part of the trip to Shanghai was definitely going to Jingli, the small business, the speaker manufacturer in Suzhou, China, just located outside of Shanghai. We had a wonderful experience there. It was great seeing the CEO, the person that ran the organization, the middle managers, and the people working on the lines have such a cohesive relationship. They were very welcoming to us. They answered all of our questions, and they gave us really good insight into their business. We tried some of their products, and looking back on this trip, that's why I went to China, was to get a good glimpse of what they do in China, how business is operated, and how it differs between there and here at home. So I had a wonderful trip, and it was great because it was capped off with that experience at Jingli. Sean, what was your favorite part of the trip?
I loved the whole trip, but I would have to say I had the most fun at the acrobatic show in Shanghai, which was kind of a surprise of the trip. I knew we were going with a lot of really cool people, and I was expecting to see a great show. Absolutely blown away, not only by the production quality of the show in Shanghai, but also by how proud the Chinese were to put it on. You could tell that they're really proud of their cultural history, their heritage, where they are as a country, and all of that really came through in the show that we saw. I ended up looking them up online when we got back to the hotel and saw that they travel all over the world and got great reviews. And I just remember thinking during a couple of the acts on the show how lucky we were to be over in Shanghai and see it, because it was really, really cool. What's been your favorite part of the trip so far with every one of us?
The trip, I think last evening.
Last
the
night?
Show, yeah, it's wonderful, amazing, I think.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yes.
What's been your most stressful part of the trip?
The motorbike, I think.
Okay, but really, what's been your favorite part?
So far, one of my favorite parts was this morning when we had a dialogue with the speaker company.
Jin
Jingli. I thought that was really interesting to finally have a conversation. So that's been a highlight for me.
It was. I would agree with you. Dr. Gift, I missed it. What are you honking at? What are you honking at? Non-funny. We're just looking for straight answers. What's been your favorite part?
Is the offensive use of the horn.
Nice.
Different octaves. Up an octave.
I don't want to say I don't know.
That made my guy.
Somebody like a tournament. Is there like a woman with her baby in a stroller?
Come on, Greg. Show them.
Is it a woman and a baby with her?
I've been feeling real good. Came a long way from misunderstood. Far away from the days where I wouldn't wanna go home, cause I was afraid of the truth. See, I was scared to admit the feeling was in the back of my head. Cause the point where line no longer works, so you have to stand up for how you wanna live.
This is the translation here for restroom. Mailman.
Everybody go. Everybody go.
Our poor crew getting left. Oh, that's cold-hearted.
He's still driving too.
Cold-blooded. Okay.
Tonight is the night. We set it on. Everybody go. I'm feeling better than I ever thought. It's possible, but now I know. Yeah.
Nice job.
Did your life flash before your eyes running across the street?
Everybody go. Tonight is the night that we're losing control. Tonight is the night we set it on. Tonight is the night that we're losing control. Tonight is the night we set it on.
I gotta give him some money. Dude, Mario Brothers, that is awesome.
It's awesome.